Welcome and good morning. Our mission is to create spiritual connection and bring compassion, discovery, and social justice to life. My name is Catherine Hazel, and I am your service leader this morning. My pronouns are she, her. Could you please take a moment now to silence or turn off your cell phones? And thankfully, I remembered to do that already. Let's say hello to everyone attending on Zoom. Turn to the frog and wave, and the people on screen can see us. Whatever your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, whatever your race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, whatever makes you who you are warmly welcome here. In keeping with our Unitarian Universalist aspiration of radical inclusion, we invite you to share your pronouns as well as your name if you are comfortable doing so. We have a diversity of voices on Sunday mornings, so that our services vary from week to week. They can run from 60 to 75 minutes. If this is your first time with us, a very special welcome to you. And if you are joining us online, please consider sharing your contact information with us. You can do this by going to the chat icon at the bottom of your screen and typing it in there. We'd love to welcome you to our community. And now it's time for the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge today that we meet on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. As Unitarians, we are committed to the work of reconciliation required to address the harm done to all Indigenous peoples and their cultures by non-Indigenous peoples. We have much to learn from the Indigenous perspective that the earth is the source of all life and that it is our responsibility to honor and care for it. And now we have announcements, and we have quite a few. Members are welcome and invited to a celebration of life for Dale Bent, husband of Penny Bent, 1 p.m. Saturday, July 11th at Sands Funeral Home. If you do plan to attend, please email Penny at pennybent@hotmail.com so she can let the caterer know how many will be there. Rupert Raj has set up a resource table in the hall by the wall to help us celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day today. The Trifold Board displays materials from various local Indigenous organizations. The books are a sample taken from the Indigenous Peoples section of our library located beside the office, which includes books on First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, several of them donated by Rupert and his sister, and there really is a wonderful selection of books there. Exciting changes are happening in the sanctuary starting on Saturday, July 18th. We need volunteers to be a part of the active work crew. We'll start July 18th and 19th with filling holes and sanding, followed by painting. If you could donate these items, it will help keep our costs down. Roller handles and extension poles, filler, sandpaper 180 plus grit, don't ask me what that means, and large yogurt or plastic tubs. Please contact Taylor Sinclair, either at the service, there she is waving her hand, or email her at Taylor's S, actually I'll spell that out, taylors.ufon@gmail.com, or text her at 778-918-3047. Next Sunday is our annual flower communion service, so please bring a flower or two to share, preferably from a garden. But don't worry if you can't. Thanks to the generosity of our congregation, we always have an abundance of flowers with plenty to take home after. And for the first time ever, we will be having services throughout the summer with our own Reverend Ashley during the month of July and the summer Sunday circles in August. Please see the newsletter coming out this week for details. And we have a mystery in this building. The glass bowl with the stones in it for joys and sorrows has gone missing. It is usually kept in the cupboard marked fellowship use only. But this morning it was gone. If you know where it is, don't be shy. We no consequences whatsoever. Just tell us, and we will happily retrieve it. And now, if you want any more information about who we are, the services we offer, and how you can connect with us, go to our website, ufon.ca. It is now time for the prelude. Let us enter into sacred time. Leah Hokinson, with the fabulous Foophonics, will lead us into worship through music.
Good morning, everyone. This morning's prelude is called Beds Are Burning by the 70s Australian band Midnight Oil. It is a song of protest advocating for Indigenous Australian land rights. And we invite you to join in on the chorus, which is up on the screen.
Please rise in body or spirit.
Out where the river broke, the bloodwood and the desert oak, holding wrecks and boiling diesels, streaming 45 degrees. The time has come, to say fair's fair, to pay the rent, to pay our share. The time has come, a fact's a fact, it don't belong to us, let's give it back. Here we go. How can we dance when our earth is turning? How do we sleep while our beds are burning? How can we dance when our earth is turning? How do we sleep when our beds are burning? For we score the cockatoos from Kintoris to Uendumu. The western desert lives and breathes in 45 degrees. Yeah, the time has come, to say fair's fair, to pay the rent, to pay our share. The time has come, a fact's a fact, it don't belong to us, let's give it back. Happy Father's Day. Welcome to this place of reflection, fellowship, and inner growth. I'm Reverend Ashley, and it is my honor to serve as your minister here. As we enter into this time of sacred awareness, I invite you to rest. Rest in this present moment with an open heart. Simply let this moment be as it is. And our chalice lighting today comes from the Reverend Walter Brueggemann. The prophetic tasks of the church are to tell the truth in a society that lives in illusion, grieve in a society that practices denial, and express hope in a society that lives in despair. Please join in hymn number 1010, We Give Thanks. Please rise in body or spirit.
We share in love, we listen in love, we hold one another in love. Each joy and concern, we witness and learn, and grow together in love. Then grow together in love.
Okay, so I'm going to invite the fabulous Euphonics to come up and help with this next song. This is a chant setting of words by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, drink in the wild, and we're throwing in one more wild, drink in the wild, wild air. And it's a song, we'll dedicate this to the solstice. Happy solstice to everyone. Okay, so it's going to be in 3 parts. So you're going to be kind of along here. You'll be part 1, and you'll be part 2, and over here you'll be part 3. Part 1 goes like this. Live in the sunshine, live in the sunshine. That's all there is to it. Live in the sunshine, live in the sunshine, live in the sunshine.
sunshine. Live in the sunshine.
Beautiful. And in this section, you're going to sing, swim in the sea, swim in the sea, swim in the sea, swim in the sea. And if you want to swim, you want to throw in some, swim in the sea, swim in the sea. And you are all going to sing, drink in the wild, wild air. 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 Okay, I'm going to go turn on some grooviness, and I'm going to invite you all to stand. Technology is going to work.
Such a musical congregation. Thank you, Leah. This week is Indigenous Peoples Day in BC, and I would like us as a community to think about what it would mean to fully live into our values and do the work of reconciliation when it comes to recognizing and advocating for the land rights and human rights of Indigenous communities. And sadly, we do have reconciliation work to do. Our faith began in a very different place than where it is now. Now, we're a faith based in principles of caring for each other and the natural world, but at their founding, Unitarianism and Universalism were 18th century Christian traditions with all the baggage that brings. And even if you don't count the thousands of years when Unitarianism was suppressed, we have a long history. And when the Unitarians and the Universalists merged into Unitarian Universalists in 1961, they each brought their unique and long histories into this faith that we call home. The Universalists were never very interested in converting people to anything in particular, because their theology at the start had been, well, there's no permanent hell, and therefore no need to force one's belief on anyone. Some of them did engage in paternalistic advocacy that helped in the passage of harmful laws in their efforts to help Indigenous Americans. But as a whole, they were largely more focused on ensuring humane treatment of Indigenous people than on converting them. The Unitarians have a more complicated and negative history, because while they focused on rationality and rejected a lot of the traditional Christianity, they still held that belief that they had the real truth and that people needed to be converted to that truth. And the Unitarians also were often the progressives of their time. And in the 1800s, what it meant to be progressive was to believe that rather than wiping out Indigenous people or enslaving them due to their inherent inferiority, one could convert them to Euro-Christian ways. The range of acceptable mainstream public debate among white people at that time was really only that big. Anything outside of that range was in the realm of the radicals, and it wasn't popular. The superiority of Euro-Christian ways was not the thing to be debated, only whether people who were not white had the capacity to adopt these obviously superior ways. And the Unitarians, often at the very same time as they fought against slavery in the States and organized the Underground Railroad in Canada, for their part in that debate, they advocated for the conversion, even the forcible conversion, of Indigenous people to Euro-Christian property ownership, worldview, and religion. The American Unitarian Association is the umbrella that supported the founding of most of the Unitarian congregations up until the merger with the Universalists. That includes the Montreal congregation that was the first Canadian Unitarian congregation in 1842, and it does include this fellowship, which was founded 2 years before the merger. So for those who are wondering how we got from here to there, the Unitarians and the Universalists merged, and their member organizations joined the Unitarian Universalist Association in 1961, and in 2006, the Canadian Unitarians and Universalists created their own association separate from the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Canadian Unitarian and Universalist Council, but that's a different story, just so you understand how that all happened. But in the 1800s, the Unitarians that are one half of the tradition we grew out of bought into this idea of conversion to Euro-Christian ways. And they had 3 residential schools. One in the land now called Montana, one in what is called Colorado, and one in Minnesota, which takes its name from the river named by the Dakota people. The Unitarians also did particular harm to the Ute people in their missionary activity, shady financial dealings, and representation of the exploitative U.S. government. Unitarians who moved into Kansas to fight slavery took a great deal of very recently stolen land from the Kansa Nation in the process. And many of the names of the quote-unquote founders of Lawrence, Kansas, that were bolted on a plaque on Injujewahobe, a stolen red boulder intentionally chosen for defacement because it was sacred to the Kansa people. Many of the names on that plaque were the names of Unitarians. And there are a lot more stories like this. And all this history leaves us with a choice. We can say, this has nothing to do with us, for one reason or another. None of my ancestors were in Kansas. None of my ancestors were Unitarian. It was 200 years ago. No one here was a Unitarian unless someone has found the secret to immortality. We didn't even buy this building until this century. We could say it was the American Unitarians, and we aren't part of that denomination anymore, so we don't have to answer for it. We could say that even if it is our faith tradition, it isn't who we are now. Now, Unitarian Universalism isn't even a creedal faith, and you don't have to be Christian or even believe in God. We adopted humanist principles in 1961. We certainly aren't going around trying to convert anyone to anything except maybe thinking for yourself. When we see colonization here or abroad, we oppose it. The Canadian Unitarian Council repudiates the doctrine of discovery and has adopted multiple resolutions supporting First Nations land rights, treaty recognition, and self-government. And maybe that is one true way of looking at things. But rather than falling into that very Euro-Christian, Calvinist, individualistic view of history and responsibility, and all the shame that that view brings along with it, because in that system, we all have to constantly prove our goodness. Maybe we can let go of needing to grab onto shame or push it away, and let go of those thoughts about whether we're good or bad. Because one of the great things about being Unitarian Universalists is we believe everyone has basic goodness, and everyone messes up. So we don't have to worry about condemnation. We can just forget about ourselves for a minute here. Why do we learn history? We learn it not to assign blame or decide who is good or bad. As you use, we learn history so we know what to do now to help people here and now. And I believe that is why history is so contested. Because if we accept that a harm was done that materially benefits us now, the next implication is either that we are irredeemably bad and shameful, which is the old school Calvinist theology, or that we have reconciliation work to do, which is where Universalist thinking takes us. And neither being irredeemably bad or doing work sounds all that great. And sure, doing that work has a hard aspect to it. The hard thing about the Universalist view is that it demands something of us. But the good thing about accepting a Universalist view is that it gives us somewhere to go from here other than shame. The Calvinist view that even early Unitarians and Universalists rejected, that some people are good and some are bad, and that's just the way it is, doesn't leave any room for reconciliation. Reconciliation work is always going to be imperfect. The thing about working for a better world, and especially joining the progressive edge of people fighting for a different way of doing things, is that the vanguard is always going to move. The world only spins forward, as Tony Kushner says. What was the cutting edge of progress becomes regressive over time, and people find different ways to do things. So we don't learn history to find hero forebears who share our modern perspective and who we can proudly identify with. Our ancestors will universally have experienced horrific oppression and inflicted horrific oppression. And even the heroes of their time were responding to a totally different world. We don't learn history to learn that we have chosen just the right associations and done just the right things to be perfect warriors for progress. Perfect is an illusion. We can accept right now that we aren't going to find it. And it follows that whatever we do won't be perfect. And someday people will look back and critique us, and they'll be right. Future generations will definitely think we made all kinds of mistakes, and they won't like the way we say things or think about things. That's because there is no perfect or even very good way to live in an oppressive system. The thing about oppressive systems is that they don't give you an out. You take your side, you accept oppression or work against it, but you are a participant, whether you want to be one or not. Even in your resistance to oppression, you will play into that oppression because you have to engage a worldview to change it. You have to interact with a system to impact it. The only way to be a blameless colonizer is not to be a colonizer, to fully uproot and transform the system of colonialism into something entirely new. And we won't do that in our lifetimes. So we're just one small part of a much larger story. We learn history not so we can feel proud, not so we can feel ashamed, not to pass judgment at all, really, but so that we have a better idea of what to do now. And not the perfect thing, the next imperfect thing in a long line of imperfect things that will someday lead to freedom. I think that accepting that we are part of a larger whole, connected to past and future, is part of the healing and reconciliation process that will shift us away from the harms of the Euro-Christian worldview. And I have faith that when we choose to act with love at the center, even if what we do is not perfect, it will move in the right direction. We know that the Euro-Christian tradition we grew out of was destructive to indigenous culture, and we know that at least some of the resources we have and that our denomination has were unfairly declared to be the private property of our ancestors, and by extension, our property. We know that there are indigenous communities that continue to feel the effects of the material harm our denomination did. And that isn't to shame us, but to point to a problem that we have to address, both as a denomination and as human beings. How do we get from a place where land and resources have been unfairly hoarded and treated as privately owned and disposable, and where people unnecessarily die from lack of basic necessities, to a place where resources are recognized as a public good that doesn't belong to anyone, where everyone has enough, and where we hold reverence for the land and air and water? We don't have to sacrifice our own survival to make some kind of moral stand. We aren't going to bring back the pre-colonial indigenous culture. But how can we indigenize colonial culture, decolonize it? How can we make things more fair? And to be clear, there are going to be problems with the descendants of colonizing religions deciding how to do this without indigenous input. And there would also be problems with asking indigenous people to do the labor of figuring out the solution to the problem they didn't create on behalf of colonizers. As I said, there is no perfect way to be a colonizer. There is not going to be a correct answer. There are only small steps in relationship. We might consider some ways that we can begin to embody a less colonialist way of relating to the land and people. What would it be like to reject the idea that land can legitimately be privately owned? To embody the reality that rather than the land belonging to people, people belong to the land. What would it be like if the world was organized around the idea that all people have a right to exist, and all people have a right to maintain the sovereignty of their bodies and their culture, but no state or corporation does? How could we organize things to recognize the sacredness of land and the sacredness of human and non-human animals, instead of viewing all of that as just resources to extract from? These are huge questions, and the work they call us to is lifelong and never finished. But I have one small suggestion. We do a land acknowledgement every Sunday, and that is a great first step. But I wonder if we might add something to it. I remember hearing a story of a teacher who, following a land acknowledgement, stole one of his students' water bottles. And then he made a statement of acknowledgement that the water bottle belonged to the student. And when the student asked for the water bottle back, they had a discussion about how acknowledgement without reconciliation is incomplete. And I wonder if we as a fellowship could make the acknowledgement we say more meaningful. I don't have a precise prescription because I think that is for the whole fellowship to consider, and there isn't one right answer. But I wonder if a gesture of paying a small amount of rent to an organization that serves the Snuneymuxw community on an ongoing basis might be a way to do this. Then we would have a different kind of land acknowledgement, an acknowledgement in relationship of not just recognition, but reconciliation. And it starts the process of really moving to a new place. And I'm not saying this would be the perfect solution to absolve our denomination of our ancestry or ourselves of past harms. It's only a small gesture. And drawing people more deeply into the framework of ownership and property has its own problems. If you know anything about the United States Indigenous history, the passage of the Dawes Act decimated the continuity of Indigenous cultures by forcing people into an individual ownership system. So I think even offering resources is something to do carefully and with very thoughtful intention. But I do think that paying a little rent would be a small step toward a different and more fair allocation of resources and a small step toward reconciliation. And I'm not attached to that answer in particular, so much as I want us to think about what concrete steps would look like. Steps that cost us something, and most importantly, that benefit those who are living with the ongoing harms of our denomination. Steps that might help us shift our worldview and support this new world that is being born through the pain of the past. May we all have hearts big enough to hold our mistakes with the love we need to bring healing. Amen.
Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing together hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Yeah.
The harm of the past cannot be undone, but it can become a catalyst. The energy of pain transformed into growth. May our lives testify to transformation. Go in peace.
And now it's time for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And then, what's already out? Okay. We are almost at the end of our service. After we sing Carry the Flame, you can join a social group both online and in person. Breakout rooms will be available online for 30 minutes. We will have our usual snacks and social time in the hall after this service. I want to acknowledge the many people who have given their time and energy to creating our service today. The Sunday Services Committee and the AV team, who I forgot to mention will not be here next week, so it will just be an in-hall service. Leah Hokanson, our music director, and the fabulous Phonics, and our wonderful Reverend Ashley, the greeters and offering collectors, those at the welcoming table, those who brought food and flowers, and the volunteers who come early to work in the kitchen and leave late. A heartfelt thank you to you all. We'll now sing our final song, Carry the Flame. The words are on both the back and side walls. Please stand as you are able and hold hands or touch elbows as you feel comfortable.